How do you silence shame? Shame's loud. It's debilitating. Shame, it can alter the trajectory of your life. And I want to share one step you can take to silence shame. Hi, I'm Rick with Fair Recovery. I want to share a deeply personal story on how betrayal can lead to shame. I do want to warn you that parts of the story might be disturbing, and if that's the case, skip to the end, where I share a path out of shame, a way to reclaim your power, heal, and step into a life filled with authentic joy. Years ago, when I returned home from college, my friends threw a party, and after it was over, I crashed at my best friend's house. Unfortunately, in the early hours of the morning, I was jolted out of sleep. The first thing I saw was a clock on the nightstand. It said 3:17 a.m. It's then that I realized someone was sexually fondling me. Instantly, going into fight or flight, I rolled out of bed and spun around to confront my perpetrator, only to find the perpetrator was my best friend. What had just happened? As I was completely disoriented and confused. I felt shocked, hurt, violated, misunderstood, alone, dirty, bewildered, angry. My first reaction was to yell, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I grabbed my stuff and got the hell out of there. At the same time, I was so disoriented and confused, I didn't even go home. I spent the night in a church parking lot. My mind was racing at about 100 miles an hour, and it was bombarding me with questions like, had I done something to give the wrong impression? This had to be my fault. What had just happened? What was he thinking? Who was this person that I thought I knew? This would never have happened if I hadn't gone home with him. Why didn't I go home? What should I say to him? What should I do now? My heart, it was broken because I just lost my best friend in the world. I wanted to wake up and find it all a bad dream, but it was real. I thought, should I pretend that this has never happened and go on as if everything was normal? Part of me wanted to go back and literally apologize to him for my reactions in an attempt to repair the relationship. Another part of me was really angry and wanted to beat the hell out of him. And there was still another part of me that was incredibly ashamed. I did feel violated, taken advantage of, again, dirty and used. I didn't even know if he was sorry for what he did. I wish I could tell you that my thoughts were short-lived and I moved on, but that's not the case. Sleep never came that night, and it took days for the raging river of emotions to begin to recede. I felt like a hamster stuck on a wheel going round and round and getting nowhere. I didn't know who to talk to, what to do, and I began to lose interest in life. I didn't even want to go back to college. And while my best friend's betrayal of me was life-altering and shocking and traumatic, it was nothing compared to the betrayal of infidelity. Just the fact that he was only my best friend and a significant part of my life made that betrayal impact my attachment system. But he wasn't my life. He wasn't my life partner. He wasn't totally integrated into my life. My life wasn't built around him. At the same time, shame had begun to hold me hostage. It was so much easier, guys, to blame myself and listen to the voice of shame than to think poorly of him. Shame told me the best option was to isolate, not to let anybody know, not to let anybody see what had happened and what I had done. Isolation left me feeling hopeless, and hopelessness left me feeling paralyzed with no motivation to move forward. My life, it literally felt frozen in time. In retrospect, the two things that happened to me as a result of that betrayal by him are similar to what others experience with betrayal trauma. First, in retrospect, the two things that happened to me are similar to others who experienced betrayal trauma. First were the traumatic memories that kept getting triggered and keeping me feeling like they just happened yesterday. I mean, every time I saw a clock that said 3:17, bam, it felt like it happened just yesterday. Even 2 years later, when I would see a clock that said 3:17, wham, it felt like it happened yesterday. You see, the difference between a trauma memory and a normal memory is the fact that normal memories, hippocampal memories, they naturally fade into the past. Our brains make them distant, and the intensity fades over time. Trauma memories, on the other hand, they don't fade. And every time I crossed paths with him, it didn't feel like it had happened a year or 2 years ago. It felt like something happened yesterday. And that's the characteristic of a trauma memory. But second, even more damaging, was what happened to my attachment system. Our built-in ability to desire relationship and to connect with others. You see, betrayal trauma isn't something that happens to you or to me. It's something that happens inside of me. It breaks a very basic piece of me. When the person you love, your partner, your significant other, whom you've welcomed into your heart, betrays you, the ensuing explosion, it's from the inside out. It shatters your sense of safety. It disconnects you from your identity and from your history. It destroys your internal home, that natural habitat that you would go to for safety and support. Who was supposed to be your protector is now a predator. And that bridge that led back to your safe place, your safe person, it's destroyed. Even worse, your identity's challenged, allowing that voice of shame to ring out in your life. Wasn't I worth it? Why didn't I see it? What's wrong with me? I'm an absolute idiot. How could I have even been in this relationship? And shame says you must never let anybody know what's happened, or they'll see what an idiot you are. They'll see how flawed you are. The rupture of attachment, it leaves us feeling damaged, ashamed, and alone. It causes us to question our entire history with that person, our reality and identity. And healing requires not only repairing those traumatic memories that make everything feel as if they happened just yesterday. It also requires healing that internal attachment wound, how I attach to others, even creating a desire once again to want to attach just to anybody. My healing began when serendipitously somebody put me in touch with other people who were meeting that had experienced the same thing. I suddenly realized I wasn't the only one. I wasn't alone, and I began to see I wasn't broken. I was just wounded. It wasn't my fault, and that I needed to heal. And what I learned is I actually admired those people. I didn't see them as damaged or, dirty or filthy. And their courage to expose their shame, it inspired me to begin to move forward. The most effective way to kill the shame you're experiencing is exposure. You see, shame is a bully, tormenting and beating you up every time you go out on the playground. And how do you handle a bully? You smack it in the face. At a fair recovery, I've seen thousands of individuals rebuild their lives and jettison their shame. And they've smacked that bully by joining a safe community who are just like them. You see, when you've gone through betrayal trauma and you suddenly are in a group of other people who've experienced the exact same thing, you know what? In that group, you're normal. People not part of that group, they don't share what you've experienced. But here you are normal. And the shame begins to just totally dissolve. Do you know what our participants discover in our small group programs? They're not alone. Everyone there is going through the exact same thing. In fact, they help each other smack the bully as they go through that healing journey. Their respect and admiration for other participants begins to show them they deserve respect and admiration. And the courage of others as they share their stories enables them to tell their stories. Look, I know the thought of joining a community may feel like a huge risk. But risk, it's not the downside of recovery. It is the foundation of recovery. All the time I have people go, I don't do small groups. And I say, it is a risk, but that's where you begin. And they learn that if they choose to explore the possibility of reestablishing a relationship with their partner to see if there's anything worth salvaging, that is okay. And if that is the case, I want to encourage you to take the free First Steps Boot Camp. It will provide a safe and structured support for you to begin a conversation with your mate and begin to understand what is normal and help you begin to see you are normal. From the bottom of my heart, please take a step toward healing and reclaiming your life. Don't continue to let the voice of shame tell you that you're less than, that you're something you're not, that you're one down, that you're damaged. Join our supportive community and discover the strength within. Work with others so that they can help carry the load of that recovery and help others as they also move forward. Go somewhere where you are normal and you don't feel like a misfit. Click the link below to explore our Fair Recovery courses today. To healing.